Oh my goodness. Alright, I just got done looking at episode 9 of Doom Patrol. I always look up and just say this show is crazy, and it is craziness, but this episode was very well done. Artistically and aesthetically, and from a design standpoint, it was groundbreaking. For the fact of them using actual character actors to identify as the 64 personalities in this woman, to them just going and breaking down the building blocks that make up Jane. Like, this is the ultimate character study that, I mean, honestly, it would have took like, man, seasons. Like, it would have took like at least 3 seasons before we even got through even maybe half of these personalities, but they were able to, in one episode, give you the dynamics as to why and the hows and the way they facilitate, the way they interact, and their fears, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, Jane went through this point where she had to, she had to come to terms with what was really haunting her. Which is a couple different things. One of the biggest things is that this is too difficult to deal with life around her. On top of that, like, she's never really truly in control. She doesn't know at what point, what was this person she could trust, person she couldn't, and going slipping in and out whenever her emotions just go sideways. That instability, you know what I'm saying? And then the most defining thing is, you know, her circumstance of abuse, and the abuse that, you know, really ultimately created all these different personalities and created her. And it was just kind of like, for me, watching it, it was very emotional. Like, I think when, at the very end, I mean, this is kind of a spoiler, but when Cliff, Jane, and the dad were together, even though you got this, like, CGI, you know, identification of her dad made out of these puzzle pieces, which is just insanity. I haven't talked about insanity of the show yet, or at least this episode anyway. I got teary-eyed because this was the first time that she even realized that she had power to fight back. As strong as this girl is, you know, as wild as she is and talented as she never, I guess, fought back emotionally or mentally, or grieved over the circumstance. I think a lot of people that go through not just, you know, emotional abuse but physical abuse, they never mourn their situation to, you know, to make it be identified. And then two, the second part of that is to fight back, to realize that this isn't right, that there is levels of control that you have, even mentally. And this is her first refining moment because she was able to focus on something else. And then the other part of that was when, I think it was Marianne was saying that this was your fault because you made her hope. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, matter of fact, the way that this could end up, like, Jane might fall in love with Cliff. Like, for a long time, I was sitting there thinking, like, Jane was, you know, Cliff's daughter, for real, for real. But she might really, truly, like, love this man, or come to love him in some capacity. And that's not what he's looking for. He's just trying to do the right thing. He's looking to try to help her. I think initially it was like, you know, he saw his daughter in her, but he really would do anything for her. And it's a very touching love story, to be quite honest with you. It's very endearing. It messed me up, though. This episode messed me all the way up. Because, in spite of all those amazing finding things, like, it's just, like, it's very in-your-face symbolic, like, stuff that I was like, I'm having to rebuke and bind in Jesus' name. Like, I was like, this is just way too much, like, mentally. And, you know, I was like, some of this stuff is just a little too on-the-nose heavy. And that, I forget which one was it. That one with the Freddy fingers. Yeah, I was definitely rebuking binding that. I was like, that don't need to come out. That don't need to come out at all. But at the same time, there's something that happened out on the surface level too. So it's gonna be interesting to see what really did happen. Now that end shot, I think that leads me to believe that Mr. Nobody implanted that into Jane's head, and is keeping it going because she's already reconciled what's going on, or the reality of people that do go through abuse is that even when they do overcome it, it still happened. Like, it's not something that just goes away. Like, it could be on a dime that you think about this moment. And I'll go into details about why I'll go into details about that more later. And if anybody wants to talk about it, hit me up in the comment section or DM me, and we can have a real in-depth conversation about the circumstances and the trial, tribulation, and rehabilitation of getting through abuse. Because it's a really serious thing. It's a very, very serious thing. Anyway, I didn't mean to go this deep, but yeah, some weird stuff. Crazy show. Crazy, genius show. The fact that I could have such a strong emotional moment when I was like really just kind of like, man, this is so demonic, this is so messed up, like, what am I looking at, is a testament to the acting and a testament to the show. And I was so happy to see Brendan Fraser in the flesh, like for real, like that iconic moment, him, because ultimately what that told me was that as much as he wanted to have flesh, wanted to be real, like he was like, that doesn't matter to me, because ultimately right now is her. And I think that's what makes this so much an endearing, like, possible, like, love story. Either way, I gotta go. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Have a blessed one, guys. Peace. Oh, yeah. Make sure you go and check us out on Patreon. You can check out this full entire reaction. Love you guys.